We're building Amika, which is infrastructure to let you build your own software factory. Amika lets you spin up sandboxed coding agents in the cloud, and then you can control them interactively or programmatically. So you can load in Claude Code, Codex, or any agent you want to make changes to your code base. So let's just make this super concrete with an example. So I'm coming to the web UI first, and I can create a sandbox here. And I have my Git repos connected, so I can select a repo, and when I create a sandbox, it copies that Git repo onto the sandbox. It copies over the Claude agent, the Codex agent, it copies over all my agent settings, as well as MCP servers, skills, and tools that the agent needs. It also runs a development environment per sandbox, so I can preview the apps that the agent is changing. So here's just an example Next.js front-end app, and the agent and you can view the app changes as the agent makes them. So let's start out with using a web-based chat. So this is also useful for non-technical users, where they can just come into the web, they can ask it to change the heading to say hello from Amika, and then they can preview their changes in the front end or the back end servers or whatever else as it's running. So they don't need to know how to set up their own agent environment or how to download NPM dependencies or anything like that. They can just come in, code in the sandbox, or chat to the agent in the sandbox, and it makes changes here. So that was the web UI. I can also connect from the terminal. So I will just connect to this sandbox, and I'll go to the repo here, and we see it made the changes, but let's say I want to make some more changes. So I'll do Claude, and then I do dangerously skip permissions because this is running inside a sandbox. I don't want to have to okay everything that Claude does, and it can't really touch anything that it's not supposed to because it's totally sandboxed. So I just let it do its own thing. And let's change this to say, let's change the heading to say, hello, Dylan. So I can run this in here from the terminal, and we'll see back over here that this will update to hello, Dylan. Now I can also send messages to the sandbox programmatically. So let's do sandbox agent send, and we'll say change the heading to say goodbye now. I can run this from the CLI or from a HTTP API, and it made the update here. So those are the three ways that you can interact with Amika out of the box: the web, the CLI, programmatically, and we're adding support for any other surface like your email or Slack. So let's go over what's useful about Amika. Each agent is sandboxed inside a VM, so that means it can't see files it's not supposed to see. It's restricted from the tools that it can access. You don't have to worry about the agent messing up something on your computer or seeing sensitive data. Worst case, you just delete the sandbox. This means you don't need to stop and okay everything that the agent is going to do. You can just prompt it and let it do its thing in the sandbox and then delete it at the end if you want. You can control the sandboxed agent programmatically, so not only through the UI or through the terminal, but also through a CLI or through a HTTP API, which means you can make code changes in the background. Let's say you have Sentry set up and Sentry catches an error in production. You can have that send a message to Amika to spin up a new sandbox and try to auto-fix that change or auto-fix that error and then push up a new GitHub PR. You can control the sandboxes from any UI surface, from the web, from the terminal, Slack, email, whatever. If there's a surface that we don't support out of the box, you can use the Amika API to add support for that UI surface. Non-technical users can also use Amika, and they can vibe code more safely and easily and look at the changes to the code base, because each Amika sandbox runs a preview dev environment and it's preloaded with all the dependencies needed to run that. Users don't need to know how to use NPM or how to set up a coding agent. They can just create a sandbox and chat in the web UI. And these sandboxes are multiplayer. Because they're in the cloud, I can make a change and then share it with my teammate. Or maybe someone non-technical or a designer does a prototype change inside your real code base, and then they hand it off to an engineer to take a look at cleaning up and making that code change acceptable to merge into main. Overall, what we're doing is providing the infra to build your own software factory. Companies are going from just creating code by originally typing, now working with agents, to actually building the system that creates the code. So it's the machine that makes the machine. And we want to give every company the infrastructure they need to do this, so that they can build software that helps build itself. So that's Amika. We're building infrastructure to make your own software factories. Check us out at amika.dev, which is right over here. Thanks.